Evening all. It is that time, of course. The time, well, it's a little bit after that time. Do you know what? That's made me think. Let's do that. It's coming. 23 is coming. 23 hasn't been around a lot. But TF2 real game. I'm late. Yeah, well, you know. Time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so. It's not lunchtime, but, you know, the quote doesn't work if you don't finish it. Yeah. Minus rep. I wish I had rep to minus. Which I really don't. So there we go. It's 21st of Milch. A month I like change. By which it means anyone. I like change personally, but this month only. You come to me beginning of next month and say, do you still like change? I go, well, kind of ambivalent, but this month I'm 100% for change. So that's where we're at. With that, that's not going to do that. Why would it do that? Hey, it's a disclaimer. I'd forgotten all about that. Well, I hadn't really forgotten all about it. Every word that has a capital letter on it. All, no, leaps, any, hail, Eris, immanentize, eschaton, Discordian society. There you go. Fnord. There you go. That was the disclaimer. Just change the stream title then. Be the same for years. Stream title. 21st of Milch. Keep the change. Discordian service 21st of Milch. Today is the 21st of Milch. Stream title's not always the same. It should have the... I occasionally forget to update the date. But, you know, I've got to announce it's a Discordian service. Yeah, that's what this is. And then I put the date of the current SWDP month. And then I just put a little thing on the end in keeping with the theme of the month. Last week it was everything changes but moo. And this week it is keep the change. So there we go. So, yeah. Yeah, there we are. Oh, I was supposed to keep this in this, wasn't I? Because if I hit this, just get the stream order. You know the stream order well. You do TF2 Real Gamer 2022, being, as you are, in the role of the congregation, the peanut gallery, the heckling masses. You keeping the lights on all by yourself and doing an admirable job of keeping the stream in check. We don't want an orderly. Got to be the piss jar today. Actually, the more times I happen to know that's from. Might not be the piss jar. Might just be a piss jar. But yeah. God, imagine what ChatGPT would make of that. Don't do it. I pretty much do know what the what ChatGPT would make of it. One example was enough, but it's just like I have. It's the weird feeling when a non-sentient AI, generative AI chatbot will be more taken aback at the audacious move of characterizing the goddess you worship as a jar filled with urine. You know, they'll be more shocked by that than you will, because, like, well, they're just visiting. You got to live here, so you know that's how it is. But of course, we will preserve the element of mystery, well, and indeed the elephant of mystery, until we get to that part. We are on to deep thoughts, and this week's topic is Eris plus Aneris equals chaos, which is a little bit of a misnomer, to be honest. Everything plus everything, anything, equals chaos, because the universe is fundamentally a roiling vat of cosmic chaos. That's the way it is. But our tiny, puny human brains can only perceive it on a very micro level, this boiling cauldron of chaos. And chaos has gaps in it, like anything else. You know, everything is already chaos. Yeah, and that indeed is view, what we perceive, what we call chaos. Trump wants to end school. See, there we go. You've mistaken. I mean, that's interesting, right? You've said there, everything is already chaos. Trump wants to end school. But I realised that there is, an inherent distastefulness to viewing things from Trump's point of view. But we have to acknowledge that he doesn't think that's causing chaos. He thinks that that is bringing about order. Yeah, it is a grey-faced tactic to bring about his control over the country in which he is sitting in the big boy seat. Okay, so he believes that action to be aneristic. Eristic, chaotic, aneristic, grey-faced stroke order. Yeah, but what you demonstrate is that from a sufficient distance away, it is plain and clear that that move is eristic in nature. Yeah, no school equals idiots, idiots equal chaos. Yeah, indeed. In fact, so one of the tenets that sort of comes out, squeezed out in between things that are in the Principia and other Discordian writings and so on and so forth, is that if you seek to sow chaos, you will inevitably create a kind of order, an aneristic force. Yeah, so if your intention is chaotic, you will accidentally produce, as a byproduct of that chaos, you will produce order. Here is exactly that thing. I am holding a Discordian service. The service is supposed to allow as many Discordians, synchronously, asynchronously. Incidentally, if you're watching this on YouTube, yes, I did put the other one up. Like last week's service, I still haven't put it live on YouTube. Mea culpa, I just ran out of time. But I will hop to it, so you'll probably get like 2 services in a week. You know, it's fine. Chaos keeps rolling. Come here. Well, I'm imagining those people that watch the YouTube video do so because they can't be here now at this time. But the point is that as I have tried to create a forum for chaos, so it happens 7 p.m. UK time or thereabouts every week. We have the order of the service. That's aneristic. Eris loves chaos. He sent me an email telling me how much she sent you an email, if you know what that is, telling me how much she loves chaos. Yeah, well, you know. The chaos is there underlying. The eristic and aneristic, as represented there by the sacred cow, the symbol of Discordianism. It represents all of everything, and that really everything is just chaos. But chaos at a scale so vast and unimaginable that we cannot perceive it. So that's what there is. So the eristic force of joyous chaos, which we can partake of, is always going to win because it's backed up by a much larger, scarier chaos. Yeah, so there we are. Simples. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If you beholden to the curse of Greyface, in which case, what are you doing here listening to this? We're just going to tell you it's all a lie. It's a sham. It's like a drug. Control freakery is just a drug. It's a mental drug that keeps you grasping for something that is just an illusion. The purest illusion anywhere in the universe. That is that of creating order. What if you have 2 chaos? Won't that be freedom? What if you have two cows? 2 chaos? 2 cows? Wouldn't that be freedom? Well, now you get into a different thing. You know, we've set up a duality here of chaos and order, and you're bringing freedom into the equation. I mean, in the words of Eris herself at the inception of Discordianism, she was here to tell us that we are free. You don't need to create freedom. Negative plus vegetative equals positive. I like that. I'd like that on a t-shirt. I know it's a spelling mistake, and I know that it isn't really the word vegetative. But yeah, negative plus vegetative equals positive. The only t-shirt that I've seen that I want more than that in the zombie series made by the Asylum, purveyors of Sharknado, they have a t-shirt that says, "This is the end. This 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 is the there's a character called Doc, and in one episode, a feature-length episode, he's wearing a T-shirt that says, "That's what Cheesehead," and I thought that was the best. That is the best T-shirt ever. I haven't ever looked into did you get one. Maybe I could just get one. I'm going to be 50 in a couple of weeks. That'd be a great thing to wear on my 50th birthday. I'm going to look into it. Can I spell perfectly fine? How about you? I would read that out louder for the folks at home if you're not seeing it on the screen display. But it's supposed to say, "I can spell perfectly fine. How about you?" But it doesn't say that. And it's like, I'm from the South Wales Discordian Press. The written word is very important to us in that we don't ever write words because print is dead. You have to because you're in the chat. So, in the peanut gallery, spewing nonsense, which you've done beautifully, by the way, and are doing beautifully. But so you have to, which is a curse and a burden that I personally am putting upon you. But yeah, there we go. That's all. So the message of the week is that from chaos comes order, and more importantly, from order inevitably springs forth chaos. If you go and chase after that order, you might have a tolerance for that. I do many things. I mean, you might think to yourself, I have many times ordered things, made things more orderly, more tidy. Yeah, and I don't notice any chaos springing forth. Yes, from order comes chaos. Absolutely. And it's like, well, no, what happens is that you have... What? You are wrong, but you just wrote that from order comes chaos. And from chaos comes order. Like, that's the balance. That's the point of the symbol. And what you might instead say, instead of "you are wrong," is "what you say is false," which of course it is, but it's also true. And in addition to being both false and true simultaneously, it is also meaningless. In which case it cannot be either wrong or right because it has no meaning. So yes. So you are correct. At the same time, you are not correct. You speak truthfully, but also you speak falsely. Also what you say means nothing. If you have order, chaos will come. Yes, that is correct. That is exactly right. That is exactly what we say. If you think, I had a bunch of books and I arranged them in alphabetical order. If you only have blah blah blah, but if you only have blah blah blah. Okay, right, nice. Okay, great interjection, very non sequitorial, which is always good. Non sequiturs are great. You're bored of typing. Well, yeah, I could sympathise with that. Need a break. Well, have a break for a minute there while I finish whatever point it was I was making. What point was I making? Could you just type it there? Yeah, so you've got, I've got my DVDs on shelves. They're all arranged alphabetically. Unorder that, chaos boy, you might say. But it's like, yeah, there's got to be space for the chaos to move around, yeah? If all of the chaos was jammed up so tightly that there was no space, how could it be properly chaotic? It would all just be stuck in one place. That's not chaotic. So in order to move freely, there are these gaps of non-chaos, yeah, which, a person may temporarily fill with something ordered, yeah, like a sandcastle on the beach. Chaos doesn't need space. It's negative. Well, you're negative. Yeah, chaos is really upset to hear that, and does not want to speak to you for the time being. It's just you don't. That's not cool, man. You don't go around calling things negative. Just off the bat, it's really hurtful. Chaos is really upset by your attitude. Well, that's just all I can say right now, man. Think about it. Negative and positive. What is the point of setting up this duality of order and chaos if you're going to start dragging arbitrary concepts? Might as well start talking about good and evil. Chaos is evil now, I suppose, because evil is negative. Putting things on either side of a fence. How anti-chaotic can you get? Chaos is, of course, negative, but it is also positive. Therefore, you may as well split the difference and say chaos is chaos. I will email Chaos an essay saying how sorry I am. That would be great. Email is, of course, the most chaotic form of communication. See spam for details. I would say, with the 23 counter going, that this would be the perfect time to move on from our detail. I'm open for questions. It's enforced for the next, I'm going to say, minute and a half. I am open for questions because that's where we are. It does not matter that questions are a burden for others and answers a prison for oneself. When are you going to shave? Good question. Well, is it a good question? It's a question to which I know the answer, and therefore I might say that it's a good question, because any question you can answer, you were taught in the education system, is a good question. Is that really all people mean when they say good question? And I know that they have an answer for it. I have an answer for it because I didn't really want to go to my 50th birthday celebrations still sporting the, delinquent Father Christmas look. Do you believe in death? Irrelevant. Death definitely believes in all of us. So there we go. Cool. So the answer is probably Sunday is when I'm going to have a shave. Probably. And I'm not going to want to because I'm lazy, but I'm going to realise that if I don't do it then, it's going to be really tough to squeak it in. Because in the UK, the following Sunday is Mother's Day, and I don't think I'll be able to reserve the time. So I'm not only going to have to shave this weekend like properly, I'm also going to have to keep on top of it so that I'm spick and span to go off for my... Not Sunday, the day of suns. 7th day of the week. 1st day of the week if you're a weirdo. That day. The day after tomorrow. So yes. So there we are. That's a minute and a half. Let's move it along. Oh, it's time to anticipate what's going to come. What is going to pass across the visage of our beloved goddess this week. We have a little clue there. The clue is that it's opposite day. Piss in a jar? Is that opposite? What is it opposite of? What, in fact, is the opposite of piss in a jar? Probably like having beads of glass in your pee, because then you've got a jar in your piss. So that's an opposite. Difficult to pass, no matter who you are. Glass shards, oosh, could get messy. So there we go. Water in a bicky. Nice. But no, that would presuppose that there was some fundamental nature that pointed to it being piss in a jar. And I hate to tell you this, but there is no fundamental intrinsic piss in a jarness to my universe. And you say bottle of water, probably better than bottle of beer if you're a ventriloquist. Go again. See, that's how ventriloquists say bottle of beer, because they're not allowed to move their lips. So there we are. So we'll find out. So overall, we can, in a Holmesian deductive fashion, say that the clue "it's opposite day" does not indicate that the today's face of Eris will in fact be jarry or pissy. Yes! This week the goddess of chaos is order. Hence it being opposite day. So what do we say? This of course is the Erisian symbol of order, the pentagon, having 5 sides of course, and is therefore a pentagonal peg in a chaotic void, which is exactly the diagram that you're saying. Deny all you want. the goddess can do whatever the hell she wants. And the fact that both chaos and order, as we understand them, are but a thin layer, a crusty foam on the sea of ultimate chaos, means that if she wants to be order for a week, she blinking well will be. Because pentagons are the bestagons. See, that's where we find out who the grey faces are in this audience. This isn't a game of that. There's a role-playing game called Paranoia, which you're probably not familiar with. But this is exactly the kind of talk in a Paranoia campaign which would lead people to accusing you of being a cult. The secret is that every player character in a Paranoia campaign is in a cult. But nobody's allowed to be in a cult because being in a cult is illegal. But everybody is in one. But the whole point of it is that your character has got to therefore conceal being in a cult because they don't know anyone else is in a cult because that would be illegal. So they think they're the only one. It's great. Games of Paranoia are great. It's sort of a precursor to... it's kind of like Among Us Cubed, right? And it's a precursor to that. So, yeah, Paranoia, brilliant. Very good role-playing game. Very well worth getting in on. Although you will all hate all the people you're playing with by the end of it. Much the same as any of these betray kind of board game type things. Order, of course, is a tool of disorder. Play TF2 when? We've been through this. You asking me to play Team Fortress 2 is a little bit like my son asking me to play Cuphead. The only advantage my son has is that, as I've stated, he is my son. So I do have to entertain him sometimes. But Team Fortress 2 is really not my thing. You know? And I look at these things like Marvel Rivals, still haven't touched it. Can't do it. Even though it's monstrously popular. I'm like, what would be the point? I quite like Marvel things, but I can't. It's like Marvel Monopoly. I don't have that either. Don't like my son. I love my son. That's why, even though he does things I don't like playing Cuphead, I still play them with him because I love him. You're telling my son that I love. He knows that I love him. It's fine. Email.com. I don't know what to say to email.com. Let's just move on. I mean, we're 40 seconds away from 23 anyway. Yes, order is grey and it's gooey. How do we know this? Because of the grey goo position, where we say, at the end point of the eschaton, the real eschaton, is when somebody invents a nanomachine that takes any atom or atomic structure and warps it to be more nanomachines, basically. And therefore everything becomes this nanomachine, and the nanomachine is very, very tiny and therefore will present, when it consumes a bunch of atoms making identical stuff to itself, as a sort of grey goo, and that in the end the natural state of the universe in full entropy is just a gigantic infinite container full of grey goo, which would be the ultimate expression of order. Which is weird, because like billionaires, they claim to want order and control. No, we did that. What are we doing? Doing that one and that one. There we go. We're on 23. It's here. We have waited so long, but now we have reached the promised 23. We cannot continue our discussion until we have revelled in the surrounding of 23. Of course, being as we're talking about order outside of 23, we can notice the 2 plus 3 equals 5, hence 23. So there we go. That was a little bit of 23. And now we can return once more to the lively debate that has sprung up about... probably want this one. Order and chaos is the same, yeah? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It is a provocative statement because there's something very attractive about the grey goo position. Yeah, something very attractive to believe that. I mean, indeed, Newton's laws of thermodynamics suggest that the grey goo state is also referred to as the heat death of the universe. Yeah, and that's what it'll look like, just static a universe full of static. Nothing changes. Everything's an absolute zero. There is no motion. There is no separation. Everything is just the same thing. It's just ultimate cosmic homogeneity. So yeah, it's a very attractive position. Yeah, but our instinct tells us that that's not how it's going to go down. But we just don't have the cosmology to describe what is going to happen. But we know, as you said, order and chaos is the same. The things that we humans perceive as order and chaos are a sugar frosting on top of a great roiling super cosmic lake of chaos, right? So that's what's really going to go on. So once again, order is defeated by chaos. But how is that going to take shape? We don't know. We're too stupid. But as well, we have to remember that whenever someone's really into order, we cannot be kink shaming. Yeah, it's like a thing. It's like I said, an addiction. Order is an addiction. Control is an addiction, and it's a fetish. That's the word that we're going to bandy about here. The seeking of ultimate order is a fetish. Now, there's nothing wrong with tidying your house. Yeah, because as I said, that's part of what's happening in between the chaos. Yeah, it's fine. You can tidy, you can hoover, you can scrub down the countertops. That's absolutely fine. Nobody's asking you to live in squalor, right? No, that's not what we're about. What we're saying is that when that becomes an obsession rather than just something you're doing, it's exactly the same. Weirdly, people get very addicted to, say, Stardew Valley, okay, because in that you create order out of seeming chaos, or sort of, you coax the earth to life, you grow crops and you sell them at the market and blah 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 blah. Okay, that's all fine. Yeah, you have to realize that your efforts to do the same thing in the real world are just as relevant as they are in the imaginary world of Stardew Valley, i.e. not really that relevant at all. But hygiene, you don't want to make the body sick, do you? That's the point. The body falls prey to sickness and death. Yeah, and that is when the temporary ordering of your physical form eventually breaks down back into chaos. So we exist, every human being is a reminder that order is just an illusion, that it holds together for a brief time and then it just disperses back into chaos. So yeah, order is both obsessive and compulsive, if you see where I'm going with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I really need to add much more to what I already said in the kink shaming part about that one when I consider it. And finally we have, of course, it is magical. There is, of course, a specific type of magic called chaos magic. It's amazing that nobody who practices chaos magic has ever really spoken at length about the irony of a magical practice, bro. Okay, and the irony of a magical practice called chaos magic. Can't wait to ride my new bike tomorrow. Cool. That sounds like fun times. The heart of chaos magic is constructing rituals. Yes, the rituals are supposed to be quote unquote nonsense rituals, but you're still creating a ritual, right? And that is literally all the practice of chaos magic is. It is the creation and carrying out of rituals, kind of at random. You cook them up yourself, recipe. You might as well say that if you like to get a few ingredients going and see what comes out of the cooking pot at the end, but you happen to be a very good chef, that you are also practicing chaos cookery. Except you're not, are you? Like, you know what goes together, what doesn't go together. How, you know how to baste a chicken, yeah, all of that kind of stuff. If you do, yeah, and just because you decide to do it, at rando, doesn't make you a chaos cook. You're not sprinkling a chicken in icing sugar. You're not doing that because nobody would want to eat that. You just end up throwing it away. And it's the same with the chaos rituals, especially in magic, which is the application of extra-natural forces in order to achieve an end. Yeah? Yeah? And cookery is the application of cooking skills in order to achieve a meal that you can eat. Yeah? And similarly, chaos magic is attempting to achieve something through extra-natural means by application of magical principle. So, all magic, including chaos magic, is based on following some arbitrary rules. And what it should really tell you, if you are into doing the whole magic thing, is that much like all the other ordering that you can do, it is just a sugar frosting on a great big ball of chaos. So that's why Eris is being ordered this week. Lovely. So we know where we are and we know what we're doing. It is that time once again. I've shuffled the deck 5 times. I've cut it to bring the relevant card to the top. And we are going to find out what is this week's reflective tarot moment. A friend asked me to do a tarot draw for him the other day, and I applied my principle to it. And like us last week, he got the 3 of Swords. So it's been a bit of a 3 of Swordy week. I don't know why that should be the thing, but that is how it all works. So chaos mysticism this week, if you're looking for a mood that carries you from one Friday to the next. And indeed, Friday is an ordered day. I mean, it doesn't say the goddess Eris chose an arbitrary day of the week and had a hot dog. She always did it on a Friday, with no bun, joyously partaking that hot dog, as indeed we all shall be shortly. Notice how that is ordered. It is a rhythm. Friday, Friday, Friday. So on and so on. This cries out this petty life from day to day. So we always get our card on a Friday, and it always gives us a vibe that's going to carry through to the next Friday. So what is our Friday vibe? Let's hope it's not the 3 of Hearts again. The 3 of Swords even. It isn't the 3 of Swords. Oh, it's the Empress. That's kind of interesting. The Empress. Yeah, kind of interesting in that the Empress represents it's a very Erisian card. It represents the principle of life, yeah, which everyone's like always. I find that people who take things on face value and with a kind of nod and a wink and a grin, they're always like, oh, the principle of life, fantastic, this is a great card. Wherever life is, the Empress coaxes it forth and encourages it. So she's very much like the Earth Goddess, yeah. The bunnies of Easter and all of this kind of stuff. That is the principle of life springing forth in a wonderful, palatable manner. But if you take a steak and you leave it out in the sun where flies and stuff can get on it, yeah. And then after a week or two, I don't know how long it takes, but at some point that piece of meat will be absolutely squirming with decay and rot and maggots. And those maggots weren't alive before, and now they are alive, and they're bursting forth in a profusion of life. And that is also governed by the Empress. Life, life extends to flowery borders and also borders that have burst their boxes, and like nettles and weeds and thorns all bursting forth in vigorous, healthy life. The Empress is there for all of it. How do I know all this? Which bit? The bit about leaving a steak out in the sun, or what the Empress means, or what? You have to be a bit more specific than just saying all this. You could be talking about anything. Could be talking about my extensive knowledge of the inner workings of Chernodwalka automobiles. I don't have an extensive knowledge of the inner workings of Chernodwalka automobiles. So you're safe on that. I don't know anything about that. So I, in the absence of specificity, I'll say that I know the thing about the steak and how if you leave it out in the sun it'll burst out with maggots. Not because of steak, because I've never been that wasteful. If I have a piece of steak, I fucking eat it. But we have gone away for a couple of days in the summer and left the cat with some food on the way out the door, and the cat has studiously ignored that meat. And when we come back, Maggot City, guys, Maggot City. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. So there we are. If you mean the tarot stuff, how do I know what the tarot cards mean? It's like how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, just learnt. learnt to study, real study, not like fake school revision study, like really getting to know the practice area, breaking it down in your brain, holding it together. So yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, I mean, learning your own relationship and relative to tarot probably teaches you the most study skills that you ever want to learn. Really, I never thought of it like that, but it is true. Like it's a thing. A tarot deck is a thing to be studied. That's kind of what it exists for. Studied or consulted. People who don't want to study it consult it, and people who find it hard to consult it study it because it helps them. Because it's really hard when you do a reading or you take a card and try and apply its reflectiveness to yourself. That's what falls in the realm of what spiritual types call shadow work. And it's always much more difficult to do for yourself than to just read out the vibe to other people for what they're, another person, for example. So yeah, it's so that's. I think that's covered everything that I was talking about at the time. So we've done it all now. We did it all, and that means that it is once again time for the weekly sacrament. It's time to grasp at the thing that you have to. It could be a real hot dog if you want to eat a Frankfurter sausage. Its entire glory without a bun every Friday. I am not one to stop you. But I personally have gone for a small red candy. As I said, it doesn't have to be solid. It could be liquid. It could be an inhalant. You could even set fire to your tongue if you like plasma. If you're a plasma tasting kind of person, it's fine. But whatever it is, for this time it transubstantiates into the hot dog that the goddess ate on her own after being snubbed at that hoi polloi hoity-toity party which she broke up with a golden apple. It's what you can think of. When's the time you were snubbed and you caused hell because you were snubbed? You were snubbed maybe because you had a reputation for causing hell. Self-fulfilling prophecy, circular philosophy. The only way that you could cool your ire was to sit in a corner and joyfully partake of an unhealthy foodstuff. You say, I could not find a hot dog, not even with a bun. So I take this, insert name of foodstuff or other inhalant, ingestible here, because devotion comes with fun. Hail Eris! Discordianism is the only religion that I know of where prayer and contemplation are actively accompanied by sugar and food additives. If there was another better way to think of the contemplative nature, I can't think of it. And that was it. Ladles and jelly spoons. That was the lot. 21st of Milch. In all its glory. In all its hideously ordered glory. There's been a lot of tennis between order and chaos during this service, I've noticed. The thought was all about how order and chaos really just sit on top of cosmic chaos. Eris herself took on the mask of order to show you that it's all nonsense. And then the contemplative tarot brought forth the Empress, who on the surface it sounds like a pretty good deal, promoting life and all that. But when you consider all the weird things that life do, you're not sitting there over some open wound encouraging the bacterium into life and purpose. But the Empress is, because she promotes all life. You take an antibiotic, you're going against the Empress, because that's promotion of death of bacteria. But then there's life of you, and you're weighing up, which is more important, the colony of bacteria, my open wound, or my life? Imagine that all those bacteria looked like tiny little puppies and kittens. Don't you feel like a heel for necking that antibiotic? Seems like a thought for the evening. So I think that's a great place to say adios. And I will see you. Oh yeah, I'm going to do the thing. This is the thing. I'm going to see you in the next one.